It's Facebook Live, Instagram Live.
All right, Steve. We are live. We are back.
Somebody's already on live.
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
we have a great discussion and topic.
Awesome.
So, anyways, so we're back here. Thank you for joining us on the Righteous Unity YouTube channel. Make sure I gotta definitely plug that in a little later on in this live discussion. But anyways, on Mondays, if you haven't checked out yet, we have a playlist full. It's 50 episodes for you to check out, to go through, of great content in which we break down certain topics. And we love doing this. We love being able to have this bridge between Sunday morning sermons and what you may get in a Bible study, if you will. We kind of bring you that bridge where we have real conversations where you can ask like real things, and we break these things down and we talk about these things in our episode. So we have 50 of them. Go check them out. They drop every Monday at 6:30 p.m. But Steve, as I always say, today is not Monday.
He doesn't run these on Tuesday, the lives. I do.
Something like that. I
run the discussions.
Executive producer, but you're the narrator, the person who talks.
We got a serious discussion today.
Okay.
A real serious discussion. And the reason why it's serious is because it hits home to all of us that are in Buffalo on the east side. And we hope that we can build some kind of dialogue through this. If you're watching and you want to share thoughts or questions, we encourage you to do that. But this evening, we want to just walk through the idea or the thought about the Tops reopening here on Jefferson Ave, 60 days after that massacre that happened on May 14th.
In Buffalo, New York.
In Buffalo, New
people
York.
Who may not be.
Yep, in Buffalo. And so there's been some backlash publicly regarding the store reopening for the community. And I know everybody has their feelings and their thoughts. All we like to do is consider why we think the way we think. Consider why we believe the way we believe. And take time to consider, am I thinking this all the way through? Now, as we have this discussion, I want you to understand how people approach a dialogue or a conversation. There's only 3 ways you can approach a conversation.
Okay.
You can approach the conversation emotionally. You can approach the conversation volitionally, with your volition. Or you can approach the conversation rationally. Now, what's the difference between all of them? Emotionally would be if I were to ask you why you think certain ways, you might say, well, that's just the way I feel. You don't give me any other content other than it's the way I feel. You might have a few side informational, points to make on the feelings, but it doesn't really come to a clear, logical conclusion. It's just how you feel, okay? Sometimes it can be based off of nurturing, the way you were raised. This is the way I feel, which leads into the second one, which is your volitionally. A lot of times people answer by saying, because I just do. I just do that. I just believe that way. Or I just think that way. And that's their will. Again, they're just, for some reason within themselves, they are comfortable being able, in their own mind, commit to a statement based on pure will. That's just it. I do because I do. I am because I am. You with me? Y'all with me? So therefore, in the dialogue, there's no opportunity to discuss or to consider maybe there's some pieces missing to the thought that somebody might be holding. Last one is rationally. That person takes time to consider, think through, and comes to a rational conclusion, a logical conclusion, why they think the way they think, why they believe the way they believe, why they said what they said, and they are able to articulate it and come and be prepared with information, statistics, or clear content that can be discussed and understood and comprehended. There's room now for dialogue. Are y'all with me? You good?
I'm good.
So as we approach talking about TOPS being reopened, I'm hearing a lot of things that don't make sense to me. And it's disturbing because I know all of us in this community are trying to make statements that we hope are helping people. That's the one thing I find comfort in thinking about, is that I know that people are trying to make statements and they're trying to act in ways that they believe are simply trying to help the general community. And that's good. We should be. But I want to take a few minutes to challenge some of the thoughts behind people's positions on why they feel like TOPS should not be open. The first one, it's too soon. People are saying it's too soon. But we have to ask ourselves, what's the standard for too soon? How would anybody know what truly is too soon, right? Because behind that, I'm assuming people will then begin to think it's too soon, we're forgetting the dead. Nobody is going to forget 5/14. Nobody is going to forget this day. Nobody from the east side of Buffalo or Buffalo in general, but particularly the east side of Buffalo, nobody is going to forget 5/14. Nobody is going to ignore the severity of tragedy and the level of trauma that day caused the east side of Buffalo. So when we think about too soon, what are we actually saying? Because is it too soon to help the elderly who can't get to other stores? Right? Is it too soon to help the community where there's a food desert? Is it too soon to help them? Like, is it too soon to be able to provide a grocery store where we can go in freely and be able to grab the necessities of life for us to go in? Are you saying it's too soon for that? So then if you're not saying it's not too soon for that, you must be saying something else on why it's too soon. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I'm letting you talk. I'm not trying to interrupt you.
Oh, well, it's a discussion.
I know. I'm just waiting for my part.
That's point one. So let's just deal with point one.
Okay. That it's too soon.
That is too soon.
Well, let me just summarize very, very quickly. It's good that you stated off that you wanted to challenge people's thinking, right? Just challenge it, just to see, if why you are thinking what you're thinking was the statement. Because the reality is, whether or not you feel like TOPS should or shouldn't reopen is an opinion. Okay. The fact is, it is reopened. Whether or not you feel like it should or shouldn't is your opinion, and you're entitled to that. But I like the way that your mindset is saying, though, but I want to challenge, though, how you arrived at the thought process of why it shouldn't.
Why you have that opinion?
Why do you have that opinion? And I think that we can do that because it helps our thinking, because there are facts surrounding your opinion. There are facts surrounding the fact that you brought out. If we don't open this store up, What is the elderly going to do? If you don't open the store up, who's going to keep paying for people to go out to 20 minutes away to the nearest supermarket store? People forget the government has been providing for that, but that's going to run out or has run out. What are you doing for those people? The contrast is this, as you stated, the mindset seems to be going on, moving forward means you forgot, right? And I agree with you. I don't think moving forward and opening up tops means that we forgot about the tragedy that has taken place.
We'll never forget that.
And I think the way that you make that statement that you'll never forget is how much you continually pour into your community and continually pour into the things that need to get addressed, that need to be better, right? But by simply reopening the store doesn't mean that you forgot. The forgetting is when you don't address what happened and why it happened, and how we continually, like I said, keep pouring into finding ways to prevent this type of thinking, finding ways to, help the East Side, and if we continue to do those things, I don't think that a person can say that. But you are entitled to the thought process to say it's too soon.
Well, yeah, we agree that you have your right to your opinions.
However, how did you get there, and is it sound? For me, for a person to say too soon, like you said, I would challenge, what is the time frame that you're saying? A year, 6 months? What is the time frame? And in that time frame, how are you still going to provide now a place in which we fought so hard to get this store? You got to remember something. People don't like to invest in the inner city. From redlining, moving on up to now, they don't like to invest.
Wait a minute. When you say inner city, so the city of Buffalo is inner city. Say the Black community. They don't like investing in the Black community.
Okay.
Let's be more realistic.
Okay. I mean, yes, but most of the demographics in the inner city would be minorities, which particularly would be the Black community. So yes, they do not like to invest in the Black community. So for us, which the shooter knew that, looked at the percentage of the demographics and saw this was the highest amount of African Americans in there. So the point is, what are you going to do to combat the fact that if you don't want to open up this store, what are you going to do to provide them, though, the resources? Because this was a store. People walk here. They don't have transportation to get there. So what are you going to do to provide that for them as you say this is too soon?
Yep.
What are you going to do for that?
Yep. Those are good points. That's a good point. And again, we're going to move on to point 2. Is there anything, moderator? Is it too soon to help the elderly in the neighborhood that need that store?
It's not just the elderly. There's so many.
But majority of the elderly, there's a lot of
yes.
elderly. And then is it too soon to open up the store that is what the community has needed for so long? And the next store is 4 or 5 or 6 miles away for people to have to go to. I mean, so you're telling me it's too soon to provide the store for people who need that? And I'm hearing of families who have been helping their families here, but they have to leave work and they have to, there's all day, and now they have to go do extra errands and this and that. Not that they care that they have to do it, but why do they have to keep doing it when they can have a store that's right there open for their mother, their father, their grandparent, or whoever to be able to go there and get the necessities that they need? Right?
It's definitely an inconvenience to not have the store open.
Correct. All right, number 2. So now, after that, too soon, then they want to say opening up the store and beautifying the store is not a win.
Okay. They would need to qualify win.
And that's what I want to know. On what platform is it not a win, right? If you say on an equity platform, you're saying it's not a win, right? Or it's not a win because, there's still injustices going on, so it's not a win. Well, there's 2 issues here. There's 2 issues. You can't merge the issues together. We have to be clear about what we're stating when we say it's not a win. I would have to ask, how is it not a win having the store open, taking care of the community again? How is it not a win? Is there a statement?
Yeah, we have some stuff on YouTube too.
What's that?
Barry Dawson said it's still closed.
No, it's
No,
open.
it's open.
They opened last Friday, 10 a.m.
And then Lenny Dow says, how do you think that the pain and vengeance play into people's thought process concerning point 1 and point 2?
Okay, we'll get to that. The vengeance piece. We'll get to that. The anger and vengeance. Yeah. What's the YouTube statement?
That is it.
Oh, that's Lenny on YouTube. Okay. So we'll get to that. Remind me to get to that. I just want to first deal with it's not a win. Okay. And tying into the it's not a win, they're associating it's not a win because they'll say it took 10 people to get murdered to have it beautified the way it is right now. Okay. So we know, oh, go ahead. Because I do have something to say on that, but if you want to go ahead and attack that, go ahead.
Well, I think that as you stated, there's a lot of different things going on. Opening a store, even in a different location, isn't going to address the problem of injustices taking place. So I don't see the correlation either way. Like I don't see you saying waiting to do this a year from now is going to change injustices. I mean, we've been facing this for 400 plus years.
Because the store in and of itself is not going to change the injustice.
Yeah, no.
There's an avenue for that. A store opening and closing or being beautified is not the solution. Even if people perceive that it's Tops doing their part or whatever, righting a wrong, the issue is I have on this is that if you felt the store was wrong prior to the murder, why weren't you saying something then? Why weren't you picketing then? You understand what I'm saying?
If you felt like this store wasn't helping out the injustice.
And exactly. Why weren't you picketing then? Why weren't you springing up things then? Why weren't you marching then? Like I don't understand now that, because again, there's, to me, it's always going to go back to why do you think the way you think? Like I want us to consider the thoughts we're having for these statements we're making. What is it that's really driving those thoughts that you're having?
Maybe they feel like it wouldn't probably tie into the it's not a win piece, but maybe the reason why they didn't protest before was because maybe they felt like it was safe enough to go in there. Nothing happened like that beforehand. So now, with it being in that same location, their mindset is thinking this isn't a win. People are still going to think about what took place 5/14, or it may not be safe, which maybe they felt like it was safer before 5/14, which is why they didn't protest. And now they're protesting.
The it's not a win is based on the upgrade of the store.
Okay.
The upgrade of the store is what they're saying is not a win.
Okay.
And I'm saying, why are you saying it's not a win? Because then people have been saying because it took 10 people to get murdered to get the upgrades.
Okay, yeah. On that point, I would just say that if those murders didn't take place, and our prayers always go out to the victims and their families.
Wait, let me say this real quick. I'm gonna let you finish. Us talking about the 10 people that were massacred, us bringing up these 10 victims, by no means are like in any way saying anything negative. We're treading lightly. We are cognizant of the fact that people are still mourning. We're also cognizant of the fact that this tragedy is going to stay with us for a very, very long time. We'll never forget it, but we know the severity of it is still going to be with us. But at the same time, we're simply having a dialogue. So we have to bring that context into the dialogue for us to understand what's really being discussed. Yes.
Now says it's hard to get out of poverty mindset, to have hope and trust that things will change.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think too, though, to base how something changed when in the end you wanted that, it doesn't sound like they're upset that it was beautified. It sounds like it was upset because it took too long, and B, it had to come on the backs of a tragedy. But if the end goal is you do like the fact that it is beautified, it looks better, there's, you know, fresher produce, whatever the case may be, then I think that if you're going to be honest and fair, you have to at least give kudos to the fact that that took place, instead of diminishing everything altogether and say it happened because of this, so I'm not giving it any kudos. What I would, if I was going to be a critic on that side, I would at least say I like the way that the store looks now. It's a tragedy that it had to come, you know, through this form and method, but I would still have to give kudos to the fact that the store looks different, produce looks different, they added different things in there, and not say, well, I don't like the fact that they did all this because it came on the backs of that. It doesn't seem like they're diminishing the fact that the store looks better, that it has fresher produce and all these things like that. They're just saying, I don't like how it arrived.
Yeah, but they're not giving credit, like you said, they're not giving
And
credit
they're not,
to the fact. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So again, that's, you know, a thought that people have to consider when it comes to, you know, it being beautified. So, and again, the injustice piece. This is an injustice. They're stating that it's still an injustice. My thing is that you're not going to win. The injustice piece has to be fought through our leaders. That's where the fight should be. You should be dealing with, who are you looking to vote for? Who are you looking to support in these elections that are coming up? Are there people on the forefront dealing with this the inequality that's occurring? Or do we have leaders in our community only benefiting from the system and getting pocketed for just a few things that they're saying, but they're letting everything else go, you know, be overlooked? I mean, you have to ask yourself these things, because that's where the battle is. The battle isn't just through a store. The battle is through, how are laws being drafted? What kind of statements are the leaders making? What commitments are we making to seeing money being generated to communities versus other communities? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think from an investment type of standpoint, though, if you're seeing some, and they would have to qualify more so, you know, the full realm of injustices, because I think to have to fight as much as we had to fight to get the store, you know, thankful to all the Congress people who did fight and put it on the state level to get a store here. You don't get more investors without, if Tops closes down, like, we have to be really honest and think about this. If the Top store closes down and there's no supermarkets in the area, who's going to invest in? Like, do you know how the fight it took? You got to remember how long it took.
Yes.
So to have that, now we can generate other people and to start to think about building up more on the east side. And there are plans, you know, let's see how they get allocated, but there are plans from the governor to now push and put more money to small businesses, to home buyer assistance on the east side. The country is now, you know, at least we have their eyes focused on the east side. Now is the time to keep investing and building, not to tell people don't open anything. That's not how investments work. They like to see that there's other stores, there's other things going on. So we have to, even if your mindset is you would like to see another store open, Tops still being open is still necessary, because it's going to bring about an investor thinking about, oh, a couple miles down the road, let's bring in another store.
Right.
So we have to think about that from an investment and an equity type of standpoint too, that nobody wants to invest in something that there's just nothing.
It's like having a community portfolio. When investors look at the portfolio, They're like, oh, this is worth investing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if they're going to open up the community portfolio, what's going on in the community, somebody's going to say, oh, I see some tread here. I see some traction. Let me start doing, or let me partner with somebody to make some contributions, do some investments.
And why don't we see this as, you know, we always look for the big issue right then and there,
You got something?
But yeah, appreciate that. Why don't we look at also short-term things to build on the long term, right? And I say that to say, I think we're just thinking, you know, big picture, we want another store. Well, let's look at how many years that's going to take. At least 3. So for 3 years, what are they going to do with the store. Like, forget they've been a couple months with that. What are they going to do for 3 years? We need to be able to understand that in order to build up the east side to where we would love to see things grow, you need short-term and long-term fixes. We can't diminish the short term. I think Tops reopening up is great in the short term now. Maybe more stores would want to open up after seeing this, but you can't diminish the what's taking place temporary or in the short term because you're not seeing things in the long term. You have to take those as they come. If you're just sitting back waiting, you're going to be waiting.
Yeah. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about. I am after this. Lenny, don't worry. We got as far as the violence and the vengeance. The violence and the vengeance. Okay, so last thing. Now that I see that a company like Tops can put that much investment into the store to make it nice like that, right?
Right.
That's the bar. That we should not accept anything less than that moving forward. There should not be shabby looking, weak looking structures, facilities, facades, or anything. That's the standard now. Like, that should be what we shoot for now. There should be it should be unacceptable anything less than what we see in Tops and any other kind of retail store, development store, or whatever on the east side of Buffalo now.
Absolutely.
Because white investors put money into that store to make it like that. Now, that should be the standard moving forward. And our politicians, who's our Maston District Councilman?
Don't put me on the spot like that.
I don't know his name. What's his name?
Don't put me on the spot like that. I don't
Maston
know.
District Council person. I don't know the person's name. I forget.
Go Google search it.
Well, Google's
moderator in the background.
Listen, that politician should not tolerate anything. Any district councilman should not tolerate that's in the Black community should not tolerate anything less than the standards we see right now in Tops as far as beautifying and investing money in the community. Now that we see,
yeah, I thought it was.
How do you say his name? Ulysses Wingo.
So that's Maston, and then
that's
I think
Maston.
Ellicott maybe makeup. No,
it's Pridgeon.
It's just only one.
It's Pridgeon.
Is Ellicott?
Is Ellicott.
Okay, yeah.
And then
I
North Buffalo is who?
Why are we talking about North Buffalo?
Because that's still a part of it.
No. Not the 14208 and 14209.
All right. Well,
no.
14208, 14209.
But absolutely, the people who are representing
the
community should recognize and understand this is the standard.
That's the standard
for any other investment stores who want to come here. This is the way that they should look.
This is how it should look. Period.
Understand, though, I would like to say, now is the time for the community to be addressing and pushing our Congress people, because, like I said, eyes are on this community here in this area to build it up better. And you have to strike while eyes and attention are on us.
So you brought up short term earlier, right? And long term. This is something that I would love to see. I personally feel like you said, it's their responsibility, the politicians, to beautify, keep the standards up, right?
Yeah.
Why?
Real quick, though, I also want to say this, though. I will be remiss if I didn't say this, though. Everything is not as quick as it seems. If you understand how long it took for the Tops to get here and how long there was a fight, this was back when Mayor Brown was over Maston, I believe.
This is like 19 years ago.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is think about how long they had to fight and get it to sit up to the state level. So what I'm saying is Congress people could be fighting. It's our job as a community to push them and to make sure that they are, but also know that there is a possibility that they could be fighting, but there's also resistance. There's a reality that people don't like to invest in the inner city,
the Black community,
in the Black community. There is a reality, and we have to address that and put that on the forefront. But go ahead.
I would like to see more of the current retail stores and storefronts and so on, that the councilman holds them accountable for keeping up the place, keeping up their areas. Just like a landlord is required to keep their buildings from being slummy, right?
Depends on the funding. If what type of funding is. If it's like private, so you can't really tell them what to do. If there's
zoning, there's ordinances.
I mean, you can get the awareness out there. Let me say this. You can always get the awareness out there to make sure people are recognizing pictures, social media. We know how those things can work or happen. I'm just saying for something to actually happen with that, you have to see if any federal funds are tied
I'm like
behind
this. It. If I'm given a citation for having my grass higher than 6 inches because that's the ordinance and needs to be cut, and I can get a citation for that. A storefront should get a citation for having litter all through the front of their storefront.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you were talking about like produce and stuff not being.
No.
Got you. You talking about the outside?
Yes, the infrastructures, all of that. Like that's
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like hold them accountable. I'm just saying that's short term, so that people start realizing the community is taking care of itself. Now let's start investing. Let's start making it, even more progressive and so on. That's just my little side.
Well, and it doesn't have to be with the investment. It could also just be just our area, period. As you go down Jefferson further, and are we seeing grass cut and things like that? Who said that?
Yeah. I would say that, yes. That'd be similar, yeah.
Because a renter's mind frame is not there if they don't take pride in that property, but an owner will take pride in the property and want to keep it looking a certain type of way.
Absolutely. And I think that's why the greatest asset you can have is a home. It's the one thing that can actually appreciate in value. So, like I said, there's supposed to be funding. And once public statements are issued like that, we should start holding our government officials accountable. There's supposed to be funding to provide about $30,000 like minimum of down payment assistance or home buyer assistance for people in the 14208 or 14209 area. So most people can't afford to put down, $2,000, let alone $3,000. But if they're upping the price to $20,000 up to $30,000 so you can put a down payment on there as a grant or whatever the case may be, that's huge. So going back to a renter's mindset versus an owner mindset, the government now putting in more funds, a bigger amount to a targeted area who they see the poverty ratio being extremely high, to pour funds into there for people to own homes. I think that's a huge, great incentive. People need to jump on that. They need to stay on top of that. Like I said, this has come from the governor's office.
Where's that information, brother Jack?
It's on the governor's website. They talked about it.
All right, navigate through the governor's website. You go to the governor's website where there's wormholes all over it. Where do you go?
you go in and you address and look at how she addressed her initiative for the east side of Buffalo.
It states that on her website?
Yeah. And we can put it into the link on each one of these pages for people to see. But absolutely, that's a great point. Getting people to own, people start to care more about the community. And I think that's a great incentive to be able to provide people more funds so that they can put down to own their homes in this community.
So, Lenny, what was his first question, babe?
He said, how do you think that the pain and vengeance play into people's thought process concerning point one?
Which was this too soon?
It's a bias. We know that many of our judgments are based off of a biasness. So our biasness would be our anger, our retaliatory mentality that we all have. Few of us suppress enough or control enough where most of us want to just retaliate, get even, get vengeance, and it clouds our judgment. And the moment you start having a cloudy judgment, that clouded judgment influences other thought process and the inability to think clearly, or as I said earlier, rationally, to come to a logical conclusion. And so my biases interfere with my ability. So therefore I might be doing something because of how I feel, or I'm doing something because that's just the way it is. That's just the way it should be. And that's my volition, or that's my will, and so on. Failing to spend more time reflecting on what you're thinking about and where it could take and where it's leading you, and having something better to think about that is more logical, to come up with something more strategic and more constructive that would help people rather than just, cause confusion or create problems. So I think that's, if you want to add to that, but
No, and I also think too, there are some people who it may be too soon for them to step foot into that building, depending upon how close they are to the victims. Some people may never be able to step in there, but I think for the community overall as a whole, it's better to not live in fear and to embrace it head on, so that we can remove this mindset.
Final statement.
Well, great minds think alike. I think it's good to remove the mindset to go in there to not see anything happen, and to kind of remove this like fear, instead of thinking, I don't know what's going to happen if I go in there. Well, now we've been in there, and like I said, it doesn't diminish what has happened in 514, but I think collectively as a whole, we can start breaking down some of these barriers and get back, to shopping there, and then eventually wait on what other things may play out in the coming years. So
my closing arguments to this, unless Len, you have another question, or if I answered your question properly, let me know. But my closing argument is, as a community, we can never let fear control us. We cannot allow this win of fear manifest. The purpose of killing 10 people was to incite fear in a community, to produce this sense of inferiority, this sense of we're nobodies, that we're insignificant, and then collectively cause us to stay afraid to go out and be us, be a people. And I refuse to let fear be lived in my life. I refuse to be controlled by fear. If anybody knows me, they always hear me say, and they see how I live, I fear nothing. I choose not to let fear be a part of my life. I will not allow it. I can't allow it. Why? Doesn't mean I ignore danger or I don't acknowledge danger. I realize there's danger in things, but I'm not going to let fear, which we all know the acronym is false evidence appearing real. Most of our fears are invalidated. They're really not. There's nothing really there. Okay. We have to be able to take control of our moments and our situations and live above all of that and do something more constructive, something more impactful, or as we've been saying, our so good campaign is to overcome the evils with good and make that good appear, to push people into understanding we refuse to let evil have a dominance over our lives. And so we have to be able to overcome. We cannot let fear ruin and rule our existence. So
my last thoughts would be, as we continue to build, as we want to see the community look better and look a certain way, what are you doing to contribute to that? If you're a renter right now and you want to see ownership take place, what are you doing to push and go after the information to become owner? What are you doing to, hold your congress members and people accountable? Because there's a lot of things that are can you relax? There are a lot of things that we can do right now that can impact our communities right now that may not be seen on a grand scale of things that we could be doing. So I just encourage us to think about these things. Affordable housing is important. Infill of houses and homes are important. Rehabilitating a lot of these houses that look older and that have blight and things like that is important. All these things contribute to making the community look better. People seeing houses look a certain kind of way, and so being able to be on top of that, it's not just the TOPS building. That's a starting point, but we need to look at other small businesses being up and running, banks being up and running, and getting affordable housing and infill of homes up and moving and running. So figure out ways in which you can contribute to that. Block clubs, all those things are essential and important.
Lady God says that's a great issue. The power, anger, and fear keeps people caged in their thoughts,
Thanks, Chris. Thank you for rocking with us, Lenny. Thank you for rocking with us. Everybody else who's joined the conversation. If there aren't any more questions, we thank you for being able to at least allow us to challenge you to think on these things. Top Supermarket is open. I encourage people to go check it out if you want to and if you can.
It's very, very nice in there.
Absolutely.
It's really, really nice in there.
So
I'm so happy. I'm excited for it. I'm excited about it.
I can tell.
Real quick, Chris, can you tell us how is it look on Facebook or YouTube? YouTube, everything is good. We've upgraded our what did we upgrade? Internet speed. Thank you, babe. Thank you. We've increased our internet speed, so it would
Which
be
means
much
we're
clearer.
gonna be looking for a donation to all our subscribers.
Yeah, it costs us a pretty penny to monthly subscribe for where we're at now on the category list of internet. So
if you think this stream looks nice,
if you enjoy these, hey,
drop some money out there.
we don't mind the type that jingle, but we prefer the kind that folds.
Best ever, he said.
Oh, nice, nice. Awesome.
Right. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, next week, Pastor Steve will be here running the 7:45 live discussion, and I guess he'll pick back up on our series on
deconstructing our faith. Yeah, definitely.
So be back here 7:45 next Tuesday, and go tell somebody else to check us out. Also, Monday, 6:30 p.m., a new episode drops. We have 50 episodes. Please go check them out. Please go tell a friend to tell a friend. Go check it out. We thank you for watching it, but we also want other people to watch it. So go to our Righteous Unity, UNITEE, YouTube channel. Go through our 50 episodes. Tell us what you think. Comment, share, and go get us another subscriber. God bless.
God bless.